Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Take a Space Podcast. I'm your host, Leah. Before we get into the show, a word from our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Omio. Omio is a travel booking platform that makes planning a journey in Europe and North America effortless. Just enter your travel details, and Omio will magically give you all the train, bus, flight, and ferry options for your journey. It's never been simpler to book your first real vacation of 2021. Best of all, using Omeo saves you time and money. That's a win-win in our books. Omeo wants to help you leave your house this summer by offering 5% off your next booking. Just head to omeo.com and use the code OMIO5, that's OMIO5, at checkout. Valid until July 31st for new users on all modes of transportation. It's just the pick-me-up that 2021 needs. Omeo. Plan, book, and love the journey. Terms and conditions apply. Now let's jump into the show. What is the most fun road trip you've ever taken?
Most fun road trip I've ever taken.
Yeah, I know you're a world traveler. You've been here, there, and everywhere. But if you had to think of your funnest road trip, what would it be?
I would say it's a toss-up between two. One, when I lived in Europe, and we drove from Germany all the way to Norway. And granted, it was for work, but I had never done it before. I was only like 22, 23 years old. But it was so dope. We stopped in northern Germany in Hamburg. We stopped in Denmark. We jumped on a ferry and took it overnight and partied on a boat overnight. And then we got to Oslo, stayed the night there, party, and then drove all the way up to like mid Norway. That was a lot.
Are you sure you were going for work? This is on the way to go to work. Let me just have a couple days to party, and then I'm gonna get there.
I'm telling you, 23 years old in a international military environment, you just party. So that one, and then the road trip me and my wife took when we moved from North Carolina to Las Vegas, and it was about 5 or 6 days. We're driving and then we stop and just, I know it was a long ass trip. Especially when you hit West Texas and New Mexico, you ain't seen it. So, I mean, that was it was fun. It was our first road trip together. So that was a lot of fun too. So it's a toss up between those two.
5 or 6 days in the car.
Yeah. I was in
y'all love each other. Like y'all gotta love each other.
No. I was in a U-Haul. She was in our expedition. So
so you drove separately?
Yeah.
Oh my! Listen, the drive from North Carolina to Texas alone for me, like Central Texas, that 17-hour drive, I was like, yeah, this is enough. I'm good.
Turn around, look right.
Oh my gosh, I'm so good. I run out of things to listen to. I run out of conversations to have, so I just end up writing in silence for like 5 hours. I can't. 5 or 6 days.
It was 2010 when we did it, so you got technology, and I was bumping. Yeah. I was in the U-Haul, so there was no CDs, so I'm sitting there listening. I think I had my headphones in or something like that. I don't know.
Did you have it? No, this is after MapQuest. It's only 10 years ago. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was gonna say if you had the MapQuest directions,
yeah, and they take you all kinds of wild spots and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, but it was a good trip because again, when I travel, there's usually boozing and abound. So me and her, every place we stop, we go have a drink. We'd work out. We get out of the truck, work out, go for a run, whatever, and then have some drinks and then rest up and ride out in the morning.
Jeez.
That was before kids. I couldn't do it now with kids. No way in hell I could do it. No way.
And you have little ones too.
Yeah. My oldest is here now. My 16-year-old is here now, but my 2 little ones, I'll probably be driving. They put their hands over my eyes behind me.
Listen, do you want to fight? Because we can square up if that's what you need to go to sleep. Yes, we can absolutely do that. I don't condone violence to kids. I don't condone violence to kids. But yes, I would. That would be a thought. It would be a thought. I wouldn't act on it, but it would be a thought.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you all so much for tuning into another episode of Take a Space Podcast. I'm your host, Leah, joined by Kellz of the Culture Marauders. Welcome. I'm like, we haven't done this in almost a year, and I'm sad it's taking so long for me to reach out and be like, hey, but you've been busy.
Yeah, I've been dabbling in a couple different trades and arts and stuff like that. So, the year's been good to us. What can I say?
Yeah, like you last time we talked, you talked about a new platform that you were putting together.
Right.
And I would love for the listeners to hear about it because I think it's awesome. It's necessary. And I'm really excited for you because this is going to open up so many new avenues for you.
Right. So, yeah. So thank you, Leah, for having me back on. And you're right, it's been far too long. But, anytime we can connect and get together, it's always a good time. So let me tell you about the Culture Marauders Network, right? So it was a passion project, that was an offshoot of the Culture Marauders podcast, which you can listen to on your favorite streaming platforms. Shameless plug. But the Culture Marauders Network. So what we do, right, we are in the business of connecting and helping business grow and thrive. And by doing that, we have collected a number of different resources for creators of all walks, whether you are an author, whether you're an artist, you could be a fashion designer, musician, whatever it is out there that you do. If you need help with things such as marketing, website design, PR, if you're a podcaster and need resources for your podcast, we got somebody who can help you with that. And then also legal resources such as, trademarking information, copywriting. We have that in-house to help you. So come on over, check us out. We can link you up with some of our affiliates and get you moving in the right direction to help your business grow and thrive. And that's the Culture Marauders.
That is super dope. And a lot of people talk about how they want to put together a podcast network, or they want to put together a network of people who can help. And there's so many individuals who are doing the things. Like, yes, there are people who can help you trademark. There's people who can work on copyright for your logo. There's other people who are graphic designers and stuff for whatever your business is. And you have all these other people who are not connected. So it's really cool when you can go to a central hub and then find people of diverse backgrounds who can help bring your vision to life. That is, so many people miss that opportunity.
And I mean, the way we kind of figured it out was we were hunting for all those things, right? Like, man, you got to go to this person. You got to go to this person. It's just like, why not just have it under one roof, under one umbrella, And granted, they're still their own entities as businesses. But, we've collected, and we're still collecting, not just because we have one of each so far. This is also to help grow their business as well. And branch out their portfolio of clients as well. So, just because they're tied to us doesn't mean we own them, because we clearly don't. It's just a partnership. And, we're helping as, for example, we have a couple of individuals that, that we're working with, and we're getting them getting them connected with a exhibit through, it's a company called Green Book Tampa, and they help promote Black businesses and stuff like that. So they're doing an exhibit for the month of August through September, highlighting Black art and Black photography and stuff like that. So we've wrangled up some of our Marauders, and we're connecting. Their work is going to be showcased next month. So that's some of the stuff we're able to do.
That's great. Where can people find it?
So Green Book Tampa, follow them on Instagram. I'll get that for you after. I really don't have it on here.
I was actually talking about the Culture Marauders Network. But if you want to plug other businesses, that's cool too.
Well, we're fortunate enough to be a partner with them for this. But for the Culture Marauders, though, on Instagram, that's where we do. Usually do our dirt. You can find us on there. It's at @the_culture_marauders, and then on Facebook at the Culture Marauders, and then our website is www.theculturemarauders.com. So, and there's more coming. We're constantly changing, constantly evolving as a business, and just as an entity in general, and just the things that we see and gaps that we can fill out there. And now we're looking at showcasing, just people, and their story. I mean, I like to say, I maraud on all cultures and deliver the goods to the masses. But I can't be the only one doing it, right? I know everybody has a story. Everybody has something that they can share and contribute to, whether it be culturally or, from the social justice standpoint, anything out there, right? We want it. You got a dope drink recipe. Bring it on the Culture Marauders Network. Let's post it up there and get you, exposed. And, hey, this person made that drink, or you got a really dope barbecue recipe, whatever. Something, culture that you want to share about your background. Let's throw it up there and let some people get some eyes on it and, learn something, and have some fun with it. So that's what we do.
Man, it just makes me feel good to know that people are really taking risks and going out there to do what they love. But there are some people who would rather stay in comfort because they don't want to take any risks.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't know exactly what all the risks are, if they start looking at like, I may not be able to sleep a full 10 hours a day, or I may have to risk like my reputation and going out on the limb to talk to somebody, or, you know, I'm risk like getting rejected by 30,000 people before I find my one yes.
Exactly.
What is it that helps you to overcome those risk factors to keep pushing to do what it is that you have in your heart to do?
Well, first of all, I have a fear of failure. Failure is like one of my fears, and it's like, in my mind, if I don't try, at least give it an effort. Mm-hmm. That's failure to me, you know. So for me, I always like to try to get out of my comfort zone. I think that just comes from being in the military, where they kind of throw you in situations, like throw you in the deep, and they're like, all right, good luck, buddy, sink or swim. I think it comes a lot from that. And, you know, when I was younger, I didn't like public speaking. I didn't like getting up in front of people and speaking. And we would have to, you know, they would pick some junior ranking, you know, airman to come up there and narrate a whole promotion ceremony with people, you know, getting promoted in front of their families, in front of these colonels and all this stuff. And you have to read from this script in front of everybody, you know, and not mess it up. And so you get
pressure.
Exactly, right? Yeah, you're 19, 20 years old. They put you up there, 21 years old, you know, expect not to mess up. So being in those pressure cooker situations, you know, once you get through those things, you're like, man, that's pretty cool. What else you got? You know, at least for me, that's what it was. And you know, being fortunate enough to you know, meet dignitaries and you know, people, just being put in those situations and groomed to where, you know how to perform and function in those environments. You know, I think just constantly being pulled out of my comfort zone, that's kind of where I'm at now, where now it's like, well, if you can't affect my pay, you're really not going to shake me too much. You know,
I mean, I like the logic.
Yeah, those days are over. And, you know, so, and I just kind of carry that with me. And I try to instill that, you know, in my kids. I'm like, what's the worst that could happen, right? Okay, somebody laughs at you, somebody boos you, or you mess up while you're reading something. At the end of the day, you know what's on that piece of paper. They don't. So improvise. Right. You know, just take it and go with it. So, you know, just getting out, and that shows growth. You know, when you get out of that box and you're willing to take a chance, yeah, you may succeed or you may fail, but it's growth. And that's how we learn from our failures. So just constantly getting out there and just trying something different.
So how do you differentiate between a limiting belief and a risk? Because sometimes we'll say, I feel like it's going to be a risk if I go out there and I fail, then I could risk my job, my life, my family, my relationship. Mm-hmm. If I were to bring this thing up, or if I were to talk about this, or if I were to do this thing, there's a lot of things that are stable that I feel like I would risk.
Right.
But it's not necessarily, it may not be a risk. It may just be a limiting belief that because you do X, you have all these good things. Mm. And if you start doing Y, you'll lose all those good things. So how do you differentiate between, well, is this really a risk or is this a limiting belief?
Well, I think, you know, with risk, like I look at risk, I take calculated risk, right? I don't take any unnecessary risk anymore at age 41. Those days are over.
That's for the kids. I don't need to do that.
I have been very, very lucky in my life with the risks I've taken, and I'm still here able to speak to you on your show. But you know, I look at things now, and I'm in a totally different situation in my life where I'm retired from the military, and you know, I draw my pension and stuff like that, and I work a side job just to kind of maintain, you know, what we have. Mm-hmm. But you know, as far as like at work, I'm not afraid to come up with an idea. I've talked to our CEO in the elevator, you know, just as a normal person, where everybody's kind of shook, like, oh man, like this man puts his
what am I gonna say?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know what to say.
You know, and management stuff, and like I hate to bring it right back, you know, circle back to the military, but it's because I've been put in those situations where you're kind of comfortable and you know, you can take those risks. And I look at, like I said, risk is like calculated opportunities. Like, okay, I'll do this, but this is the outcome that I expect to come out of it. And then I'm not going to put myself in a situation where, okay, man, you're locked into it. Well, there's other ways to work around it, besides just locking yourself. Leave yourself a couple of escape ports, where shit gets a little shaky. You got something that you can kind of, go back to a toolbox and maybe utilize a tool to help you through that. But you got to be smart. You can't just jump in and take a risk without kind of having some resources and some tools on how to, navigate and negotiate those obstacles if they do occur while you're in that risk.
So what would you say if someone who hasn't been to the military, how would they then be put in situations or seek out opportunities that is going to help them to grow their appetite for risk or overcome their limiting beliefs or what they feel like that's not really for me, or that's not, I could never see myself doing this thing.
Well,
that thing is too big. I
would say, first of all, find something that you enjoy. Take a risk and find something that you enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy it, what the big picture is going to be. If you don't see yourself enjoying that, it's not going to be worth it. You're not going to put forth the effort. You're not going to be willing to get out of your comfort zone because you're not going to be interested in the first place. Find something that you enjoy. Like for me, I've started DJing, right? And
what?
Yeah, I know.
First of all, how many jobs do you have? Are you part Jamaican? Like, what's going on? What is going on?
I've always loved music, and as you can clearly see, I've always loved hip hop, and just music in general. And my wife bought me a controller years ago, and we kind of dabbled with it. I started taking lessons up in Jersey, but I really got serious about it here. So, I found a great, instructor. Shout out to Matt Wiley, aka DJ Eyes, Tampa Bay's finest. And he started teaching me, on like not only a controller but actual real turntables. And he's like, man, you got to get out, come out to the club and spin. Open up one night at the club. I'm like, come on, man. Let me get up there. I don't know who would bring tomatoes and cabbage, but I'm pretty sure somebody would throw it and hit me with it up on stage, right? So
first of all, it's gonna be beer bottles. You better quit playing. It's gonna be beer bottles.
And cheap beer bottles too. That's the thing.
Right.
And so, and I sat there and I fought with it. I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, come out and do a birthday mix. And I would do practice sessions with a thumb drive, and I would go back and listen. I'm like, man, this sounds like straight. People will boo me. I'll get laughed at. They'll probably see me in a car and laugh at me. So I'm like, no. He finally hit me up. He's like, look, the bar is going out of business. He goes, somebody bought it. It's our last night. Come and open. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I took your calculated risk, right? One, I was better than I thought I was because I actually put forth the effort because I love hip hop, right? I did not want to fail. I did not want to make a really dope track sound like trash. So I actually really, really worked on it. And the other part of the calculated risk was I was opening. So it's only going to be like 8 people in the bar at that point, right? So nobody was really going to hear it.
I mean, true.
So, but I went out there, right? And I did fine. It was all in my head. And it was like, man, this is really dope. I could do this again. So moving forward, DJing is now going to be a part of the element of the Culture Marauders podcast. So I'll open with a mix. I'm getting more proficient with it. And now that's a risk. So, but because I took that risk, that's another element that I'm going to feel comfortable adding to my own show and present to people.
So it's more, so it sounds like it's more about taking the small things or at least opening yourself up to something seemingly small, and it may be nerve-wracking at first, but at least opening yourself up to the possibility so that you can then at least experience like a little bit of success, because I know that it's kind of like the snowball effect.
Yes.
You want to build up steam by having, successes little bit, and then you can start going after the big things.
Right. And I look at also like with the snowball effect, right? I don't want to jump into something without, at least having some kind of background or training on it, right? Like I can listen to a track. I know where a good mixing spot will be on that, right? At that point, because I've learned, I've listened to the track a million times or familiar with it from the jump. And you kind of know, once you start learning the theory and stuff behind it, that's just more tools to the toolbox, right? So that only strengthens your foundation going into it. So, like I said, enjoy what you're doing, what you're going to take that risk for, because, the job, let's say you're going to take a risk. Like, you know what, I'm a seek a promotion. Well, you may want to like the job first before you look to promote and ask for more money, which more money comes more problems, right? Shout out to
problems. Right.
But so it's important to enjoy what you do. And then in that case, it may not feel like such a risk because all you're doing is you're just rocking, you're progressing, yeah. So that's basically how I see it.
Have you ever been in a situation where you found like the risk was not worth the reward?
I'm sure I have. I mean, not every risk can be a winner. Not every risk can be on point. I'm trying to think. Oh man, I'm gonna think about that because I know I have some. There's some spots where I've not necessarily taken a risk, but been in positions where I failed. I completely have blown it, and I got it. Yes, there has. And again, a lot of my experience comes from. I've only been a civilian for 2 years, so a lot of my experience comes from the military. I was in a training for convoys, and I was leading my first team. We were going to go down to Iraq, and I was going to be a convoy commander and lead these guys to victory and glory and stuff like that to these bases and stuff. But in the training, I froze. I froze in a scenario, and I couldn't make a decision. So I took a risk and just called out something just arbitrarily, and it blew up in my face. And the whole practice scenario, the whole convoy got blown up. Everybody was dead, And because I took that risk and wasn't confident and didn't have confidence in what I was doing in my leadership capability at that time. So I had to come back and I had to go through the debrief, sat down with the instructors. They chewed my ass out, asked me what the hell is wrong with me, what was I thinking, and all that stuff. And
I wasn't. There was not enough blood in my brain. I couldn't see.
I'm telling you that, Leah, that tunnel vision. I'm telling you, when you're on that radio and you got those simulators going off, the bombs and stuff, and you're like, holy shit, what do I do? And it was just like, so needless to say, I had to regroup because they gave me another chance. They, you got one more shot. We're gonna run it again tomorrow with the same team, same scenario. All right, bet. Regroup, slept on it, got up. Went the next day, we rocked it. Not one scenario was missed. I had everything locked down. We went down range, down to Iraq, took care of business, brought everybody home safe. And so that was where a risk, it didn't pay off, but it kind of taught me a lesson, right? Failure, right? That's what I said. You fail, you learn, adapt, and overcome.
Yeah, I think that when people think about risk, they think about it in a sense of always losing something. And always thinking it as a net loss. And, if I give up this, then I'm losing something else, instead of looking at the things that you could learn from, the things you could grow from, the things that you could attain from, like you did in your scenario, like getting the opportunity to do it again.
Yes.
And not just be like, look, I'm going home. I don't even care. Like, y'all can keep the promotion. I don't even need this. I don't need that on my resume. I'm going to be here for another 20 years. Like, leave me alone. But I think that whether it's relationships, platonic, familial, business, whether you are in a career or whatever the case may be, like, it's really important that you realize that there are going to be risks, big and small. There's going to be consequences, big and small. Whether you choose to move or stay complacent, like there's always going to be risk in that. Because if you stay complacent, there's risk of you being outpaced, or your job being automated,
right?
Or you not growing in your relationship. I've seen so many people who have broken up because their partner was unwilling to grow. It was like, I'm 27 and we got the house, I got the car, I got a decent paying job. There's nothing else I need to do in life.
So let me ask you this. Is it necessary to continue growing? At what point are we satisfied?
So here's the thing about me.
Okay.
There is this insatiable need to learn. Like, I have to be regularly learning something, not all day, every day. But if I don't have, like, some people say, hope for tomorrow.
Right.
I'm more like, I have to be curious about something because that's what's going to keep pushing me. That's what's going to keep me going. Like, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to sleep well because tomorrow I have questions. Yeah. I got questions that need answers, and I need to figure this thing out. I need to know how this works. Having hope for hope's sake doesn't really work.
Right.
Like, I can hope things are better, and then if they're not, then what? Yeah. But if I'm curious as to, well, what can I do? What work can I get done? Who can I partner with? Where can this go? How many different things? Not overthinking to jump to conclusions to end up in depression, but to be creative and take a step back and maybe look at the big picture, or look at things small. Maybe some details have changed. Like, I'm more creative when I'm curious. So I think that it's more important that people stay curious, because when you think that you're done, then you should just be done with life. And I mean, I don't understand people who live their life on a loop. I personally don't. I am the complete opposite. Right. Like, give me something different every day. But people who live their life on a loop and it's just like, yep, this has just been my life for the last 5 years, and it's like, you don't want to do nothing else.
But they're content, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, if they're content, and
are they content or are they complacent?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question, and that's to, I guess, interpretation, right? So you'll sit there and look at somebody, and they'll be sitting there at dinner with their wives, and they're like, no talking. You know what I mean? Is this where you want to be? So, right. I don't know. I think some people, the dream for some people is, like you said, having that house, that car, and you got a kid or two, and that's life, right? You grow your family, and they're content with that. But then there's other people like yourself, myself, and especially my wife. There's go-getters by nature, right? You're always searching out something. You're always looking at creative ways to do something different. Shape the world. The world is like putty. Like you can
exactly.
And you want to see exactly what can I create with this now? All right, let's mess it up. Let's squish it. What can I do now with this? Like, and it's good to have those people. Like you have the people who are content, and then you have the people who are constantly movers and shakers and want to do something different, try something. Just live. For me, and I can say for my wife, that's living. And I think just with the past year with COVID and just kind of being locked down, it made us kind of channel our energy and everything in a different direction. Starting a business, putting out merch, and just, like I said, the DJing thing and stuff like that. It's just focusing our energies in different ways until we can get back out in the wild again amongst the folks, touching the people again. And, so, yeah.
I think that people who say that, I'm just content with what I have, I'm good with where I'm at, they're not really looking to progress any further than just living day to day. There is this kind of, the people who I've talked to, this is not everybody, so y'all don't jump down my throat about this. This is just the people who I've talked to who've done this, the people who are under 50 and typically young, like 30s, like not even, like they haven't reached retirement age yet. Right. But they're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, kind of like Robert Parr in The First Incredibles, like going to work, going home, being in traffic. Yeah, like this is it. And I feel like sometimes it's a situation of this limiting belief of this is all I get, or lacking the creativity to know that there is more that you can have, because living life is not just about partying. Living life is not all about always taking trips. There is a beauty in randomly stopping at a farmer's market, or taking in a movie at a random time of day, or even playing hooky from work and just be like, hey husband, hey wife, let's go do something. Yeah. Or hey partner, I feel like we should go do this. Like, there's so many different ways that life can be looked at, where, like you said, like putty, there's something different to discover every day. But if we're looking on our phones and saying, I will never achieve the kind of success that Instagram portrays because people rent out studios to make it look like they're on planes and stuff, I'll never achieve this kind of success. So I might as well just keep doing whatever it is I'm doing and hope for the best. Like, I'll make enough money to keep my cell phone on.
I'm telling you, Joe Rogan ruined it for everybody who's a podcaster or anything like that, because he showed that, hey, you can make a lot of money off this, but people forget that Joe Rogan's connected to Hollywood already. Not only is he an accomplished martial artist, he's a stand-up comedian, and he's an actor, and he had Fear Factor. So that's like 4 feathers in this dude's cap. And he's got UFC. So this dude is everywhere. So naturally, he's going to have connections to all these people, right?
Yes.
He showed you what a podcast can, how a podcast can be, successful and make a shit ton of money. And everybody thinks they could be the next Joe Rogan, and that's not realistic. You can put out a great show like Take Up Space Podcast, right? You can put out a great show, and your measure of success is going to be completely different. If you're reaching the people that you want to reach, and you have that audience of the core folks, the tribe, the ones that are down since day one, that's success. And I look at it the same way with the Culture Marauders. It's like, no, I'm not going to be Joe Rogan. I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan, but as long as I'm having fun, and some people are listening to my message and rocking with me, that's all I need. It's cool. I'm surprised I'm surprised as many people listen to me as they do already. So I'm not I'm not trying to mess that up. So I mean, I'm when you're having fun and it's not even, I think people, like you said, they do get complacent, and I think every now and again you need to be shaken out of that. I know my wife had to shake me out of it because I was getting too heavy into the social media thing, and I'm checking and say, oh man, this and this, and I'm starting to ignore what's happening around. Not to the point where it's bad, but just bad enough to where she's like, hey, let's put the phone down. I'm like, you know what? You're right. And you got to detach, and where you're busy world building, you kind of forget about the world you live in already, so you got to kind of bring it back and keep everything back to eye level again before it gets over your head.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it just made me think about we get so invested into this online persona that we're trying to bring awareness, we're trying to make connections, we're trying to, we got to go get without realizing like what we've already built and understanding like, hey, like, let me pour into my kids. Let me pour into my village. Let me help them get to where I am. So when they start, they're already ahead of me.
Yes.
When they start going and it's their turn, like I'm not passing the baton to somebody right next to me. Like they're already ahead.
You're already there.
I feel like when we realize that we have that kind of power to whether your audience is 3 people or 3 billion. I think that if you are authentic in your message, you don't have to be Beyonce or Joe Rogan or Trevor Noah. You don't have to be put on such a high pedestal because first of all, that comes with goodness. The amount of eyes watching you and the amount of, you think that your auntie has a lot to say. you think your grandma got a lot to say. Can you imagine the millions of people who have something to say? Why would she wear that shirt? Why is he dressed like that? Who let him get all those tattoos? And listen, it's not worth the piece if you're not, like you said, chase what makes you happy. Chase what's going to bring you joy. And if you're not joyous in what you're doing, people are not going to really align to you. Like Wendy Williams could say that she has followers, but Tabitha, I know, has a better village. Like Tabitha Brown absolutely has a better village. Like there's no way that people are going to want to be in your village or be a part of the circle that you're creating if you're not happy doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
And you feel like, absolutely. Oh man, I gotta be Joe Rogan. Oh my gosh, I failed again. Who's gonna want to listen to that week after week, day after day? Right.
And that's why he's been successful the way he's doing it, because he is who he is. Everybody's trying to bite off the style, and it's like, no. Let that man live. Let him do his thing.
Right.
Find your lane, so
yeah. It was Simone Biles who said, I'm not the next anybody. Like I'm the first Simone Biles. Like there's no reason for anybody, like even when I have kids, I don't want them to be me. Like they need to be who they are. They need to grow into who they're going to be. Everybody has a talent, a gift. And we see with the Culture Marauders Network that everybody can do what they love. Everybody can eat. Yeah. And it's not, well, you're taking clients away from me. Well, since you're doing your skill, I can't do my skill. Well, since you're doing this, I can't do this. And it's like, but we can all come to the table.
Everybody can eat, right?
Like we're both podcasters, but we're not fighting over people. Like,
no,
there's so many billions of people in the world. We're not fighting over an audience.
Exactly. And if anything, hell, I hope to pull some of yours to listen to mine, and vice versa, and
Exactly.
That's how you grow, and we got to be afraid. We got to stop the whole idea of it's mine. I'm hoarding all this for myself.
Yes.
People can see through that. People can see through that phoniness, and it's gonna be a hard mirror to look into once it's exposed. So
that step on mentality, I'm just gonna, instead of boosting people up, like I'm stepping on whomever I need to step on to get to that next level, scamming people out of everything. There's so many scammers now who buy their followers, people who buy their who fake up receipts. Oh my gosh, I had so many orders. You guys make sure you get yours in, blah, 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 blah. And it's like,
ain't nobody buying your stuff. Quit lying.
You have the same 4 people commenting every time you post. I feel like you have bought your followers. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
None of your followers have real pages. Like they're like, what's going on?
If your icon has a dog's head on it, you ain't a real person.
I can't stand like the clout chasers. Like, it's social media is going to keep morphing and changing. It's going to be its own thing, whether it's on Clubhouse, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever new app that comes out. Like, I just heard about, like, I know they have Stereo, then they have Clubhouse, but there's another app called Wisdom, I think, where they're taking like this approach of connecting people with mentors. There's always going to be a lane for people to be successful.
And that's great. This is the first time I've heard that one. I think that's really dope. And, whoever's running that, man, jump on it early. I mean, and if it's legit, I mean, that's something definitely to support, because, you look at people, with just needing direction in life in general, not necessarily, you need coaching for a job or something like that, just life in general. And it's hard, not everybody has the answers, like Sway, you ain't got the answers, but to have a resource like that, I think that's important to have. And I think there's definitely value in that.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't know where this trend of being a life coach at the age of 23 comes from.
They did a lot of
like you literally just graduated high school. I don't know what you've been through in your life, but you literally just graduated high school.
Pretty much.
But I feel like, but I absolutely agree. I think that people, I mean, on this show, we say therapy and Jesus all the time. But I feel like even if you don't feel like therapy is your thing, just having an unbiased third party help you to change your perspective, or helping you to see things as they are and not just how you feel them, is such an invaluable asset in your life. Like, you have to have that, because if you don't have that person who's going to challenge you, who's going to ask you questions, who's going to make you think about things in a different way, then you're going to be stuck in this circling the drain kind of situation where you're just like, I keep doing the same thing. Well, why do you keep doing the same thing? Because that's getting me to where I am. Yeah, but you've been where you are for the last 2 years. But that's why I keep doing the same thing.
I'm gonna get. It's coming. I know it. It's coming.
What are you talking about?
Well, what's the definition of insanity, right?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Right,
like, exactly. I'm just like, there's no way that you can expect to be any more successful than you were yesterday if you're not willing to change a behavior, even if it's like, and I'm not an early bird, even if it's waking up early in the morning. Anything that starts before 10 o'clock is not of God, first of all. I don't know who said that we need to start waking up at 6 and 5 o'clock in the morning. First of all, the sun's not even awake.
If I'm up early, I'm going to the bathroom and going back to bed. Unless it's during the school year where I'm up at 5:45.
Oh my gosh, no, because then my nephews, they are up, and I'm just like, what job do y'all have? y'all need to go back to sleep. We're gonna put on, Brave or Moana or whatever else you got to put on. You going back to sleep? We can't. We're not doing this. But I think that when you learn to break one of those cycles, it makes it easier to start breaking the others. Whether it's getting up early, eating right, working out, going out of your way to talk to people who you don't normally converse with, connected with other people who are maybe outside of your comfort zone, but they're achieving similar goals. Like those are the kinds of risks that are necessary to get you out of this box you put yourself in, whether it be because you're afraid to take risks or whether it be because limiting beliefs that you have. If you don't push yourself and you don't have that in you and you can't connect yourself to someone who has that in them, then you're simply going to be stuck where you are. And then 20 years have gone by and you're like, well, that happened.
Yeah.
Like this, and this how life is going to be.
Right? Yeah. So let me ask you about, the idea of limiting belief. Do you think that we put the limits on ourselves, or do you think that a lot of that mentality and mindset is from outside factors, outside influences?
So I think that it's twofold. And I'll say this for me. So for me, there were a lot of things that I thought about myself because I heard it. And when I heard it, I wasn't sure if I believed it. But at some point, I knew it to be true. Because at some point, I started believing it. And then I started looking for reinforcement. And then that reinforcement, no matter how big or small it is, made it true in my mind. And and then now recently, like my dad asked me, this is why y'all need good people in your village. This is why you need good people. I had just gotten a promotion, talking to my dad, and my dad's like, so how soon till you making six figures? Never even thought about it. And he didn't even, and he was very just direct in the conversation. It wasn't like anything like, oh, haha, because me and my dad would joke around a lot. And it wasn't like, he was just like, no, like, how soon till you making six figures? How long do you give yourself? And I was like, and I had never thought about, like, I've always thought about it in like a fantastical way of just like, man, I want to be a billionaire. Me and Bruno Mars were singing a song together. And for it to be something that can be tangible, brought into reality, it made me go like, I could do that in 5 years. I'm like, you know what? Inside of 5 years, I got it. Like, I got it. I can go ahead and make six figures.
Do you have a plan, like a legit plan to do that?
So this just happened a couple weeks ago. Okay, let me give me a minute to come up with the plan. Okay,
all right. I'm gonna let you ride on the promotion. I'll let you ride on that. There's gonna be a follow-up episode, y'all. Don't stay tuned. Hold her accountable, y'all. Hold her accountable.
Yeah, like for real. I am now that I'm just like, because it's not a thing of, I never thought that I would ever make money, but it's something that, like, one of my, okay, Lord, I can't believe I'm saying this. Okay, one of my things is I will always make money. God has always blessed me to be able to make money no matter where I go, what I do, right? That is something I believe. I know it's true. And every time it happens, it confirms it, right? At the same time, I feel like I'm trash in romantic relationships. And I look for those affirmations, just like, yeah, I'm trash. Like, oh gosh, I could be, oh my gosh, I'm this. And because I believe it, that's how I feel like it plays out. And so I have to take what I think or what I think is true and challenge it on a regular basis. So it's like knowing that I can make money, whatever, like I'm good in business. When it comes to business, look, I'm on it. I got it. I make connections. I talk to the people. I do whatever it is I need to do. But when it comes to relationships, I have to work a little bit harder because I'm very direct. I'm straightforward. So I'm very sarcastic sometimes. And sometimes people don't know how to take that. So I have to like, okay, let me talk to you, kid gloves a little bit. Let me slow down. Let me do this. But being able to knowing that that's a blind spot for me and knowing that that's something that I'm really working on is something that I try to take seriously. Okay. So I'm challenging those beliefs and saying that, no, I'm not trash in relationships. Like maybe I just was inexperienced, or maybe at that point I was just very selfish, or I was being manipulative because I just could be. Like nobody was checking me. So
using your powers for evil? Shame.
Listen, this is I was young. I didn't know. I mean, I did, but I didn't know.
You knew, you just didn't care. That's the difference.
I didn't care. I didn't. I'm better now, though. I promise you, I'm better. But it's like, but now I am. But now it's something that I'm aware of, so that when I do have the limiting belief of just like, oh man, like I do want to go date. I do want to start dating, and like now that the world is opening back up, because we was in lockdown for like 5 minutes, but now that the world is starting to open back up, it's like I can't go out with this limiting belief that I am a trash individual or that I'm not good in these situations. It's just understanding that there are certain parts in these type of relationships that I have to work on. Right. So I think that, to answer your question, I think that it's a combination of both, because you hear it reverberate almost like an echo chamber. So it could be a thought that you have that turns into truth somehow, some way, like when you hear it. And so like when I have a lot of facts that are not really useful outside of trivia. So I just like I know like weird things. Right. And if I keep
weird stuff. Yep.
Yeah. I was like, I said, or you can have it in a quiver, which is where you put your arrows. And my sister was just like, why do you know this stuff? Like, why is it you were never an archer? Why do you know these things? And I could take that as, well, nobody wants to hear what I have to say, or nobody cares about that stuff. Or I can take it as like, man, this is cool, like icebreaker trivia stuff. I can use this information.
Because you don't know what a quiver is. How about that?
Yeah, just like I can absolutely use that one or two ways. So I think that it's just how you choose to perceive what your reality is. But our brains, our minds will always look for things that will protect us or keep us from getting hurt. Right. And if we think that it's true, we're going to keep looking for confirmation of it. Like, oh, you think you're trash at this? Let me keep showing you that you're trash. Let me forget all the times that you were great at it and that it did work. And you
just take that one time, right?
That's all it is.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's why I think some dudes are weird, because they think about, they're like 45 and saying, man, in second grade, Judy didn't want my Valentine's gram because she wanted to go out with Andy and she didn't want me, and that's why I don't date. You are 45, sir.
It's traumatic.
Get your whole life together.
Hey, he didn't have no Valentines in his heart-shaped box in school. It's traumatic.
That was in second grade. What are you doing?
That tells you right there. That person ain't done their life. If they're still harping on Julie. They're still harping on Julie with the Mary Jane shoes and the high socks and the pigtails. You still sweating this kid? Oh, come on. Cut me a break, man.
Mary Jane shoes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just like, this is what you choose to, okay. All right, because that's why you feel justified? Okay.
Yes. Yep, 100% in their mind, but
gosh.
Different things shape and mold different people, and I'm listening to what you were saying, and for me, it's almost the opposite. It's almost like the more you hate on me and tell me that I can't do something, I will show you I can do it, and I'll do it well. And and so that's just been kind of my mindset from a child.
I wish
all
I had
the way
that.
until now, even as a child. Yep.
Can I borrow some of that? I need some of that, because I had that until like I think about maybe 10 years ago. And then I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm just like, you can say whatever you want. I don't care. You're not paying my bills.
I came in like all through high school. It's just, I think I've just been lucky to be put in situations that help me grow as a person. And then coming into the military, I came in, I was like, you know what? I ain't trying to go to college. If I take some classes, whatever, cool, whatever. I'm not too worried about it. I mess around, get my associates. I meet my wife, she's go. I'm like, man, I got to keep up with her, so mess around, get my bachelor's. She's going. I was like, all right, mess around, got my master's. I'm like, I would have never thought
messed around and got my master's.
But I'm saying, but that wasn't in the plan, and that's not a humble brag at all or whatever the kids are calling it. That was just not in the plans. But I didn't want to be showed up by my wife, and I got to eat the little piece of chicken while she's eating the big piece because I ain't pulling my weight. So so I had to keep up, and she's a hell of a motivator. And I think for our relationship, it helps because we're constantly push each other. We constantly push each other in constructive ways. Sometimes not constructive where we're kind of hating, but everything is in the Kelly household, right? Everything is coming home to the Kelly household. What we put in our kids is coming back to us, as they grow and the people they develop into. Our business, the effort we put into that's coming back into the household. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have that constantly being pushed outside of your comfort zone and maybe taking another look at something instead of just kind of being closed-minded. And I think that's how we kind of balance each other out. So.
And I mean, you keep saying that, I was lucky to be put in these situations. I don't think I think luck is probably a small part of it, but your willingness to rise to the occasion plays a large role in your success rate in these situations. Mm-hmm. It's not just, you freezing during the first simulation, but showing up the next day like, look, come on, I already messed up the first day. Come on, the second day, we got to get this done. Is you showing up to those situations with the opportunistic mindset. Like, I'm taking this time to really show you what I'm made of.
I'm going to tell you a big part of that was my team that I worked with, because if they weren't on point in listening to what I'm saying and calling these things, it would have been the same thing. So, huge credit. And, and I call these kids, not kids, they're not all adults, but I call these folks family. And, I hate to do the Fast and the Furious thing, but they are my family. And they had a direct, imprint on me coming home safe, so that's my family, my extended family. But, so them, and the biggest lesson I took from that was one of the instructors pulled me off to the side. He said, look, you have to make a decision, right, wrong, or indifferent. You have to make a decision. And that stuck with me ever since. And that's how I apply things now. I'm like, all right, you got to make a decision. You're going to make one that exactly how it's going to make an informed decision, or you're going to kind of gamble with it. Yeah. Or, what is it going to be? But you have to make a decision. So that's just kind of how I play it today.
And I think that having a village, having a family, having a group of people that really has your back, that has the same goals, just like you and your wife, like me and my sister are on the same page. Like it's having people in your corner that understand what it is that you want, what it is that they want, and how the two of you can achieve it together. Mm-hmm. And how the group can move toward that success. And we can have either it's stacked up, like, okay, once you achieve this goal, I'll achieve this goal, we'll be able to achieve the next goal together. Yes. And having a team set mindset, like you said earlier, having this is mine, nobody's taking it from me, this is only me, I'm doing this for myself, don't look at me, don't do this, but just support me, but I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. Right. Those kind of things. Like, that kind of mentality does not breed for collective success. And if people don't feel like they're a part of your success, then why would they support you?
Exactly. They have to have something. There has to be some buy-in or something that, they're stakeholders, right? So you got to give them something else, something more.
Yeah. And if I couldn't imagine being in a relationship with someone where I feel like either I'm trying really hard, or our efforts are not matched, or we have very different goals, because there's not a communal effort for the good of the group.
Right.
There's whether there's compromise or sacrifice or whatever you want to call it, there's nothing that happens for the good of the group. It is me, mine, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And whenever we get up together, whatever. Right. No, that's not how it works. Like, when people are successful, like genuinely successful, it's not just because Elon Musk is not successful, or Joe Rogan is not successful just because Joe Rogan.
Right.
Like, there were connections, there were groups, there were people that had to believe in the product, believe in the person of what they were doing. It's not just if somebody can pull themselves up by their bootstraps, like I want people to stop saying that, because the original meaning of that was that if it is silly to think that a person can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You cannot do that. And so to have this idea of the rugged individual, I'm going to get it out the mud. If we can just retire that, because the glorification of getting it out the mud is ruining a lot of people. Like people who grew up, you know, whether it's lower, middle, or upper class, feel like they have to take 3 steps back to be in poverty, to say, man, I was on food stamps and I had to get public assistance and I was doing this and da-da-da. But now today I'm making $10,000 a month. And it's like, that doesn't make me want to buy your story. Like, just be good at what you do.
Yeah, you can bypass all the if you got together in the first place. And you know, that's not the case for everybody. But you know, it's a lot of success stories have come from that. You know, from the man, I had nothing, and this.
A lot of the highlighted success stories. It's not all of them, but a lot of the highlighted ones are like, because everybody wants to be Ghost.
Right.
Why? Why? But a lot of the highlighted success stories is like, oh man, Black people are always successful because they start off as like crack babies, and now they're able to make businesses and be educated and do this. And it's like,
yeah. Well, I mean, take Tyler Perry, right? I'm pretty sure if Tyler Perry didn't have to sleep in his car and live in his car, he probably wouldn't do that. He'd probably just like to bypass that part and get to the money and put out, you know, Medea movies. But, you know, it's just, that's just the path some people have to take. And, you know, you can be in that position and stay there. Or like you said, I hate to use the term, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, take advantage of opportunities that are presented to you, bust your ass and work hard, because that still counts for something. Busting your ass and working hard.
Yeah.
And earning it versus, oh yeah, I was entitled to it. It was just handed to me. You know, busting your ass, working hard, and showing improving when it's time. When you're called to the carpet, you can show improve and put out a good product. So, you know, you know.
It says something about a person when they can rise to the occasion, knowing that they have, like, because you had your troops behind you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have your family behind you. Like, your wife is beside you. Your kids are like, all right, Dad, what we doing?
Yep.
What's the plan? What's the play?
Ice cream, and ice cream and dessert.
It says something when the eyes are on you and you got to make that decision, and you're like, okay, for the good of the group, you know, we got to do this. Like, but because the group is doing so well, I'm able to achieve my personal success.
Yes.
Because we work to get the group to this point, I can do what it is I want to do. I can do whatever it is I need to do. I just want to make sure that the group is successful. But if you're just selfish, the village will never survive. And I think that it's hard to, how do I say this? It's hard to sustain any type of village, group, mentality, collective, anything, when everybody is like hand over fist. But if we come to the table like, okay, this is what I bring. Okay, your puzzle pieces don't really make sense, but I got something that can fix that.
Right.
That can help you. And then if you help them, and then that way it'll all come back around and we can all just be successful together.
Mm-hmm. Everybody has something to bring to the table. You just got to find out, like you said, the puzzle piece. Where does your puzzle piece fit in the big picture? Everybody brings something to the table. You may have somebody who's a great talker, you know, but they want to be like the money man. Like, I don't know about that. But you can be our PR person. You can be our PR person or whatever, you know. Right. So, yeah.
First of all, you don't know how to count, okay? What is your bank account looking like? And you want us to trust you with the money? Oh, yeah, no.
Exactly. You can go swindle somebody out of some cash. We our cash.
Right. Like, absolutely no. No. Open your banking app right now. I want to see what's in your account. I don't care if it's not payday. I want to see what's in your account right now.
$13.53. And they will be paid for another week and a half. That's what it's like.
Well, you know, this is my rent check, so I pay my rent this month, and so that's why my account's so low. But it'll be back up. Well, what's your savings account?
Don't be there.
What's the savings account? What do you mean? What's the You cannot be a money person, not know what savings is. Get your life together. No, absolutely not.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that having people in your corner is not a sign of weakness. That is absolute strength.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that people believe in you so much that they're willing to show up.
Yes.
Because getting people to show up is almost the hardest part.
Especially for free. Like when they're still trying to help you build, it's like, man, I hope they come back tomorrow. Like, hey, you got to buy him pizza. You got to buy him some lunch. Hey, please come back. I promise you it's going to pay off in the end. So
yes.
And that's the buy-in that you got to hope for, and you got to create and show them like, look, it's going to suck for a little bit, but I promise you, if you stick with it, I'm going to push it to the limit, and I'm going to push it as far as we can take it. So you just got to create that belief and buy-in.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Before you go, I would love for you to go ahead and plug your stuff, to tell people where they can find you.
Oh man, woo, boy, how much time we got? No, I'm just playing. No, again, Leah, thank you so much. We got into some heavy stuff, but some fun stuff, and some stuff that need to be addressed, need to be said, and hopefully your listeners listen to this and either Kellz is full of shit, or hey, maybe this guy ain't as goofy as he looks and he kind of knows what he's talking about. So either way, it's always fun coming on your show, and I appreciate the invite. And I'll come back anytime you'll have me. But Culture Marauders, right? So like I said, check out the website. We got some fresh merch out there. I would be wearing a shirt, but it's kind of hot. It is the summer and all in Florida. So Culture Marauders, www.theculturemarauders.com. Like I said, we're looking for bloggers. We're looking for artists. Anybody who's talking about something that, you want to put out with your culture, or something that you're doing in your life that you want the world to know about, hit us up. We got a space for you. Or if you're a creator, and and you need some resources to really take it to the next level and really put forth that effort and get jumping, hit us up. We got some connections for you to make that happen at a great rate. And what's important about what we do is that a lot of these services, I know they're not cheap, but we do have affordable rates for people looking to get in the game and get their business jumping. So we ain't gonna empty your pockets, have you looking like rabbit ears walking around. We're gonna take care of you and get your business jumping. So and also listen to the Culture Marauders podcast. I got a couple more episodes to drop. I was on vacation last week, so I didn't put out anything, but I got some good stuff coming out here within probably the next day or so. I'm gonna drop the last 2 episodes for season 2 before we really wrap up and get jumping again in September and back at it. So stay on the lookout. Hit us up on T Republic, the Culture Marauder shop on there. We got the Marauder merch line out there. Stay tuned. We got some really dope designs coming out that a couple good friends of mine have been working on from the LGBTQ community. We sought them out, and they're not only a family friend but also a military brother, and he created a really dope line. Both of them created really dope pieces for us. So be on the lookout for that. They'll be dropping here soon.
That is awesome. That is amazing. It sounds like all great stuff. I can't wait to be a part of it. Yes. I am really excited to be a part of it. I was so happy to see that the network launched. When you posted it, I had to call my sister, he did it. It was such a really cool thing. And that's why I hit you. It took me a minute to calm down to actually DM you and tell you congratulations. But I was just oh, he really did it. That's super dope. It just there are people who are looking at you man, I need to figure out how to get on. That's really super dope.
That's not a secret I'm keeping to myself. If you want to know, hit me up. We can talk, and look, we got to raise all boats, or whatever the term is. I'm looking to help out anybody, because you can't do it by yourself. The more people you have involved, the more people you have in this community, in the podcasting community, and not just podcasters, creators in general. People have some good stuff out there. They just don't know where to go to get it jumping. So if we can be a small piece of that puzzle, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. I've been your host, Leah, joined by Kellz of the Culture Marauders. Please follow us on social media at Take a Space POD on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we will be live next week on Thursday or Friday. we're still playing with the live days, but hopefully when we get that going, just follow us on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and we'll let you know when we'll be live, and hopefully we'll be able to have Kellz back for that. And we'll see you next time. Peace.